Welcome back to the Typhoon Legacy channel, everybody. This is our first episode back since the completion of the Merlin, and while the Merlin kind of took over from where I was on the forward monocoque section, I guarantee I'm heading right back into that. But before I do that, I've got to make sure that I take care of all of the little situations that need to be dealt with so I can be essentially uninterrupted on that. One of those things is going to be ordering materials, and believe it or not, even though you don't see a cockpit or a completed monocoque sitting here, I need to make sure that some of the key materials for the wing section are ready to go. So part of my homework has started on that, and I've grabbed the Typhoon's torsion box out of storage to investigate a few questions that I have before I start looking at ordering the custom Hawker Typhoon spar booms. Now the torsion box is a very heavy chunk of structure on the Typhoon's wing. It starts at the dihedral joint on the wing and works outboard from there, so you can kind of get an idea of the width of this piece of structure. It houses the main spar in that section as well as a sub-spar and a very, very heavy chunk of skin. Both cannons run through the sub-spar and the main spar to fire out the leading edge. Part of what I need to do today is just gain access to a couple key dimensions that I want to verify on some of the details that we have before I go to order extrusions for the spar booms. Beyond the removal of the skin, I don't need to go too far into the structure to get the information that I need, but I'm going to take off all of the leading edge ribs just to prevent damage during storage. Something that I don't want to do right now is go too far into the structure and disassemble areas and assemblies that I'm not working on at the moment. The more I do that, the easier it is to lose a little bit of data, and some of this stuff is absolutely priceless. Before I get too far into disassembly here, I just wanted to see if I can get some of the really interesting little things that I find as I go along. This is the inboard cannon port. So if you were a cannon, you'd be looking through there, and you can see remnants of one of the seals. It's a canvas bag basically that gets riveted on and surrounds the barrel of the cannon as it goes through. If we mosey on over to the outboard cannon, you can see there's much more surviving, as well as the rubber, I guess you'd call it a gasket, that surrounds the barrel and part of the zipper. These are the screws that held on the cannon fairings, and you can see they had a rough go. It looks like the cannon fairings had a pretty substantial impact and broke off. And this is the inboard cannon, and again you can see that the cannon fairing has broken away. A couple of the bolts broke off there. You can still see the heads or screw heads there. Part of the process when they did the wings is that they put a lot of putty on them to fair the rivets out and make it as smooth as possible, and that's what you see here. It looks like something flak exploded in front of the aircraft, and it embedded little tiny bits of shrapnel of some sort into the leading edge and into the aluminum here. And again, it points out the depth of some of that putty, not only where it's broken away in big chunks, but you can see all these little pits that the shrapnel went through the paint and putty and into the aluminum there. There's a little bit more of this flak damage over here. And again, you can see it more from the direction of travel of the aircraft, and it just scatters all over and made quite a mess of the skin there. You can see the main spar and the sub-spar in behind there, the cannon ports. You can see the reinforcing on the leading edge skin for the cannon ports. A lot of shim work done by the fitters when it was manufactured on each of these ribs. It's a part numbered shim, so it was built in there by design, but you can also see some hand formed shims, filing marks on those still to get everything to fit really nicely. Here's the location where the rocket mount was placed. You can see another packing piece in there, plus the steel plates that support the load directly on the front spar. So I'm going to go along and I'll take all of the ribs off this way, and then once we get it broken down a little bit, I'm going to take the rivet tails out. You can see that there's still some elsewhere on the wing spar area here and a couple other areas, but it'll be easier to knock them out and support them properly when it's on a bench. Once I remove all those tails from these rivet holes, I actually just use tag wire to strap all of these shims in place. Now the shims themselves are quite interesting, but so is the structure underneath, or the markings underneath. You can see just faintly there along the center line of those rivet holes, you can see a little light mark in the paint, and that's when they were originally doing their rivet layout. They used a lot of big fixtures that actually kind of came over and covered this area with all their pilot holes to drill these, but they lined them up with their center marks on the flange to make sure they had their edge distance. So it's pretty cool to see those kind of hand done items from the technicians or the factory workers at the time when they were producing Typhoons. Another thing is these shims specifically. This one here has a part number. It's a mass-produced item and part of the aircraft. I found it on almost every rib in the nose area to allow the skin to contour smoothly over to the strap doubler that goes between the upper and lower skins on the torsion box. But what I found underneath is there's a lot of these smaller ones, and they're just almost haphazardly cut out of scrap aluminum. None of the quarters are rounded, which is standard practice, and some of them are either filed. You can see the file marks here, so another hand-controlled operation that was done during the war by the factory workers. Or in some cases, they've actually gone and instead of filing to create the taper on the shim, again to help the transition of the skin over the rib and the packer, they've taken a hammer and they've basically crushed it to thin the edge and taper that out. So quite interesting to see that. Again, with this one, it's a much larger shim that's on there, but it is just snipped out, no deburring, no effort at all to radius the edges, thrown in there and assembled, airplane out the door. So there's our hardware right there. Pretty small stuff, and there's quite a bit of this, so I'll spare you real-time video of this, but I'm going to go ahead and take them all off for each rib. I'm just preparing to remove the final 2 nose ribs off of this torsion box section, but I wanted to show you something that I've discovered, and I hadn't previously seen this, so it's actually kind of exciting. This is the bottom of the wing that we're looking at right now. This is the dihedral joint, where the wing comes from the fuselage from that direction, approximately 6 feet. It comes out at a slight negative angle, or an anhedral, and then goes up with a dihedral. It's a pretty critical joint, and you can see in here, these are the steel straps that join across the spar booms in that area. Same thing occurs down at the bottom there. But there's a lot of crash damage in this area, and what I just noticed cleaning off some of that popcorn that was used for set dressing is this area here. And this is pretty interesting because what would be in this place, inboard of this rib that I'm just removing here, is the nose fuel tank on the Hawker Typhoon. So it runs from the spar forwards and basically creates the nose section there of the wing. And the damage that's in here is flak damage, like we've found in a lot of areas, but this is more severe, and you can see it caused pretty significant cracking. I believe it took the head off of this bolt here. It damaged the head of this bolt and this one as well. You can see there's some pretty big chunks that went through this. This is a very heavy spar web, and I believe it took out this entire area when it hit. So that would have gone through the fuel tank. It looks like it was coming from the bottom of the aircraft in a forward direction, or the aircraft was flying to whatever was shooting at it, and it went through the fuel tank and into the main spar, blowing off a chunk here. Thank you all very much for watching. The torsion box is an amazing chunk of very heavy primary structure on the Typhoon, very indicative of the design. And it's really interesting to get into it and see some of the details from the people that were involved in manufacturing it, and some of the damage that was caused that likely brought the aircraft down. It's really a treasure trove of history in there, and I'm glad we were able to share it with you. If you're able to, please head over to our paid subscription channel at typhoonlegacy.vhx.tv. There you'll find forums where you can discuss details of the Typhoon that you can't see anywhere else, pictures of shop updates, early releases of all of our video content ad-free, and even better than that, it's a small monthly payment that goes directly towards the airworthy rebuild of Hawker Typhoon JP843. Until next time, guys, thank you so much. Cheers.